Londoners are being urged to get tested for a medical condition which makes bones weak and more likely to break. Osteoporosis is one of the main causes of hospital stays for women over the age of 45, yet new research has found awareness is low. Dr Dawn Harper from Channel 4's Embarrassing Bodies joins me this lunchtime. Dawn, lovely to have you with us.
Thank you.
This is a medical condition known as a silent disease. Why?
Yes, because actually our bones start thinning from about our mid-30s, and they can become very thin before we have any symptoms at all. In fact, they might even look normal on an X-ray. So we've got no idea until they become so thin that a simple trip, for example, might result in a broken wrist or a broken hip. And that can be really life-changing and obviously excruciatingly painful.
I mean, with that in mind, how can you better protect yourself?
Well, so our bones get thicker and denser and stronger up until about our mid-20s, and then they tend to plateau out, and then from about mid-30s they start to thin. And the things that we can do to protect our bones are things like weight-bearing exercise. Bones are interesting, they need to be stressed to be strong. So walking, running, dancing, anything that actually takes a load through the bone is useful. Muscle strengthening, things like Pilates, good posture, that's good for you. A healthy weight. Now, interestingly, osteoporosis is one of the few conditions where it's worse to be too thin than it is to be overweight, and women who are very underweight are at risk of osteoporosis. Our diet is important, so we need to have plenty of calcium and magnesium in our diets. Smoking, I'm afraid, is yet another condition. Actually, smokers are at increased risk, people who drink too much, and caffeine and fizzy drinks can leach minerals from the bones. So all those sort of things can increase our risk, so the sooner we start addressing that, the better.
What impact have you seen this condition have on people's lives?
Oh, do you know, it's because very few people are aware of it. In fact, there was a survey out today that's been commissioned by Essentia, who do this home testing kit, that says of 2,000 women, almost a half didn't even know what the condition was. And if you don't know about it, you can't protect yourself, and if you're not protecting yourself and you're at risk. I've seen women who have gone from being active and independent with a very fulfilled life, who most commonly after a hip fracture actually lose their confidence and sometimes actually lose their independence, and of course that's devastating.
Why is this a condition that you see affecting women more than it affects men?
Partly because we're smaller generally, so we start off with a smaller skeleton, so we're starting off from a lower point when our bones start thinning, but also because the female hormone estrogen protects our bones, and so when we go through the menopause and we lose our natural estrogen, our bones start to thin quite significantly faster.
So for women watching this concerned, as I'm sure there will be out there across the capital, what advice do you have?
So I think if you're at risk, absolutely. If you think you're at risk, have a conversation with your GP. There is a new home testing kit out this week, which you can order online from Superdrug or from the company website, ossentia.co.uk. And you simply send off a clipping of your fingernail, and you fill in a form, which is a questionnaire about your risk factors. You send that to the lab, and they will come back, and the combination of analysing the proteins in the nail, which correlate quite well to the proteins in bone, and the questionnaire will give you a risk. And if you come back at high risk, that's exactly the sort of person that I want to see in my surgery, so that we can then go forward. And what we tend to do is we use a special scan called a Dexa Scan, which will look at the mineral density of the bone, and we can then decide whether or not you are either at risk or have got osteoporosis and what we need to do for you then.